over 2,000 webinars, and they received a number of awards, including 2 Emmy nominations. And so it's a pleasure to welcome here to this talk. I learn, therefore I buy. So, just a quick check, can everyone hear me? Yes. Does everyone want to hear me? Okay, good. I didn't hear yes, so at least you're honest. As Ingmar mentioned, I started my undergraduate degree in film school, and I finished in economics with a minor in finance. So clearly some connection issues between my right and left hemispheres. And for those of you who are in that situation, don't worry, you'll turn out fine. Look at me. I'm going to jump right into the heart of the presentation, which grows from the idea, the principle, the practice of marketing, then straight into business and commerce, and then how does that intersect with learning? And then we'll end with the medium that I built my career on, which is visual communication, video and webinars, or rich media. This is what we call it. So when you think about what marketing is, marketing, like Peter Drucker's definition, because he leaves space for nobody else says innovation. And that's nice for us, because no one else really gives us that kind of credit. But we're going to investigate what that actually means. Why critical aspects of business, according from one of the visionaries in the field. So let's start with what's the purpose of marketing? What's the purpose of your communication? What's the purpose of your persuasion if you are a business organization? Right? And for this talk, we're going to focus on for-profit organizations. Is your purpose a sale? Right? There's a lot of focus right now on how marketing can generate sales. I did not mention at the beginning, but before I was in marketing, I was in sales, and I could actually sell without marketing. So, sale is not the only purpose that marketing is about. Is it the recurring sale? Is it getting customers to buy again? Maybe you've got a great salesperson, but they get tired or they get bored. So maybe marketing steps in. Or is it lifetime loyalty? And let's go a little further than lifetime loyalty, which is pretty steep, right? If you want to get lifetime loyalty from a customer, you're asking for a lot. But some brands go even beyond that. Here's an example. Many of you know this campaign and know the brand. And their claim is actually that you don't even own their product. You simply take care of it for the next generation. So in this case, their marketing is claiming afterlife loyalty. Okay, we would like you to remain a customer after you die. That's pretty bold, right? So I'm going to do a quick poll, because I realized when I walked in that there are a lot less chemical engineers than I was expecting. And so I'm going to ask really quickly, who here does research? Okay. Well, the rest of you, if you're students, what are you doing? There's a lot of people who just put their hands up. You should be doing research. The reason I ask is if you're doing research, then you're familiar with the concept or the notion that you should never use one source when two will do. And what that means is it's always good to get facts that your bias or your own thinking. But in this case, I'm not going to go to another expert. We're going to go back to Peter Drucker. What is the purpose of marketing? In a nutshell, philosophically speaking, it's to drive so much demand that the act of selling is almost unnecessary. And I'll pause there for a second, right? Especially for those of you who are looking forward to an entrepreneurial career or career in sales. Am I trying to put you out of a job? No. But at some point, if you're good at what you're doing, I will be competing with you, right? As will everyone else in this room. That's just the reality of all of us professionals. What this is actually talking about is the sales effort. If your marketing is where it should be, if your communication is where it should be, if your brand is where it should be, then selling really should not be an effort. And to go further beyond just making a sale, statistically speaking, these are 2015, according to Forbes, the 16 most valuable brands in the world. Some of them you know, and some of them you might not, but they're worth a lot. Double-digit billions. Okay? The brands themselves are worth that much. With companies with strong brands, with companies with strong content, with companies with strong marketing have that others don't, is the ability to also charge a higher price. Now, you might be wondering if your idea of competing is based on price, why would you do that? Why would you want to charge your customers more? Because it gives you more cash. More cash gives you more margin. If you have more margin, you could do more research. You could do more research, you could take more risk. If you could take more risk, you could develop better products and services, which you can charge a higher price for. Everybody following how this works? Okay? This is exactly how it works. And for these 16 brands, this is a very, very strong strategy. There's one or two exceptions, and I think you guys can see that there are one or two brands on this slide that do compete on price. In fact, they're killing their competition on price, but most do not. Most compete on the strength of their brand, on their ability to persuade their customers. Okay. That's great. Thank you for that, Sora. What does that have to do with learning? Right, we're here to talk about I learn, therefore I buy. So we've talked about buying, let's talk about learning. In order to connect the two, I'd like to walk you through a very simple example of the buying process. Okay? And I could have done this for the female character, but everybody uses a female character, so I thought, you know what, let's do one for men. My stuff too. So this is the situation. Here's the need, right? Unless this is specifically your style, this shoe needs to be replaced. Okay? So what does a guy do? And let's say this isn't your most tech-savvy guy. Simple solution, walk over to a shoe store. Okay? This is a buyer. If you're in marketing, this is very exciting stuff. He walks to a shoe store. He has demand. Now I need to get it. Right? How am I going to do that? Goes into the shoe store, considers options. Many, many, many options. Narrows his options down to a few that he really likes. And then here's the kicker. Here's the kicker for most of your buyers in most of your markets around the world. So about 15, 20 years ago, the equation stopped there. The person had a few options, and based on their demographic or psychographic or whatever graphic, preference they had, their decision was simple. They liked one, they bought it. What we've been noticing, and what research is telling us, is that there is one more step for those who can afford it, and a lot of people today can afford it. It's to make the final decision between their preferences or options in a way that makes them feel good about themselves. Not just feel good about the product or the purchase, but feel good about themselves. And this is causing a lot of heartache for marketers. Okay, now you're starting to ask some very uncomfortable questions about our brand and our company. We just want to sell you stuff. Let's just leave it at that. But now you're starting to ask who we are. What do we think of you? What we think of you, what does that make you think of yourself? Right? And if you know we're thinking about you, then are you thinking about us? These are important questions, and the final choice, this is also where brands play a big difference. The power of a brand is generally in the last mile. That people will trust their purchase decision with you because it makes them feel good about themselves buying from a particular brand, one or a few. In this particular case, you might recognize the shoes, these are Toms. A strategy that has been built very, very largely upon this phenomenon, about making people feel good about buying shoes. Because some kid also gets shoes. So that's nice. So, how does this actually play out? And for those of you who thought I'd only have pictures and videos, come on, this is Stanford. I gotta have my standard PowerPoint slides, right? Here's a table. We're going to use this table or this framework for the rest of today's conversation, and we'll get to the video shortly, because that is obviously my area of expertise, along with webinars. But in purchasing decisions, in buying decisions, right, in transactions, ladder that your customer is climbing is, broadly speaking, from awareness to trust. Right? I trust the brand, I trust the service, the product, it'll work, to ultimately respect. And most of you are old enough to know this is exactly how relationships work. Right? There are a lot of people that you know, there are fewer people that you trust, and there are very few people that you truly respect. Right? You go to them when you need an answer. The trust's already there. The respect drives the relationship further. Now, because we're not looking at just driving a sale, right? Our goal here is not just to get people to buy. If you're a good company, people are already buying, or you wouldn't even have this problem. You wouldn't have a marketing department. You wouldn't have made it that far. And we're in the part of the world where a lot of companies don't make it that far, right? A lot of really broad, big ideas, and in a year it's all gone. So let's say that you are selling, and you're selling repeatedly. The way these three play out in the way that you produce media, the way that you message, the way that you communicate with your customers, differs. In the pre-purchase, post-purchase, this is just after someone buys, or shortly after someone buys, to the loyalty phase, where now they're fluidly moving between buying, repurchasing, not buying, repurchasing. They're in your zone, so to speak. And that's where most of you want your customers. That's what you want your brand to deliver, is loyalty. So let's look at awareness. Okay? Awareness speaks to traditional marketing that most people are familiar with, which is advertising. And just for the sake of it, since I expected there'd be a lot of pretty young people in this audience, I thought I'd remind folks that there was advertising before the internet. Okay? It was actually a pretty big business, and it was pretty creative, and it worked. In fact, some of the things you're seeing here are over a century old. One of them is maybe 400 years old. So advertising goes way back, okay? And in the pre-purchase stage, most of what you're doing with awareness is advertising. Okay? You are getting in front of a customer or a buyer. And in most cases, it's just a simple interruption of, excuse me, can I have your attention? And that's about it. If you're doing more than that, then you should talk to someone like myself, because you need to really understand advertising. Okay, that's really what ads are good at, is that much. But let's say people are buying. Okay, let's move past advertising. We get into the post-purchase area of awareness. Now again, we're not talking about trust. You do not trust this brand yet. Okay? You're just aware of them. But for whatever reason, you bought. Let's say it was a necessary purchase that you really didn't care much about, like gum. So you're really going to do a lot of research on the chewing gum that you're going to buy, because you just want to make sure your breath doesn't smell horrible before you go out on your date. So you bought some gum. Post-purchase in the awareness stage, a few more things come in. Normally, a brand will start to personalize. Since you bought, I know you. Until you bought, I was guessing. But now you bought, I know you. Now I know most of you are probably thinking, no, most brands I buy don't act that way. They still don't know me. Well, I'm sorry. As a marketer, on behalf of the others, I'm sorry. When you buy from a company, they should immediately acknowledge that they now know you. Okay? Because they do. Awareness changes. Now they start to address you with whatever information you provided. Are you a man or woman? Do you have a name? Do you live somewhere? Do you have preferences? The extreme case of this, still in awareness, is what I like to call the virtual sales rep. At some of my friends work in a number of startups in the area, and they don't have enough salespeople. So they actually have a bot that as soon as someone buys is reaching out, like it's their account rep, and welcoming them to the company, asking them if there's anything they need, reminding them that there are other products they could buy. And that's actually being done by marketing. That's not being done by sales, but it's signed by the account manager. depending on how the person responds, sales may or may not be brought in. On the second and third touch, you could still be communicating with the machine. And you might not know this. This is still the awareness phase. They're still trying to make you aware of what they do and who they are. They haven't built trust yet. And if for whatever reason you never build trust with a brand, you simply remain aware of them, but you continue to buy from them, again, maybe the purchase is pretty insignificant. You just don't care. Or you don't have a choice. You might hate them, but you got no choice. You gotta buy. And you gotta buy from them. Right? It's a monopoly. Well, in that situation, what happens is normally your communication, the brand's communication, moves from personalized to customized. Now they're learning a lot about you over time. So they're going beyond just recognizing who you are. They're starting to actually identify you and helping you identify with other people like you. This is a phenomenon that a lot of people have spoken about called the tribe. If any of you have studied marketing recently, you're aware of the tribe and the power of communities. But you still don't trust them. Okay? Let's cross that barrier. Let's move into, for whatever reason, you now trust a brand. But before we do that, I'd like to tell you a little story. I didn't give you much of an introduction. I will before Q&A, but if you haven't figured it out, I'm a professional storyteller. That's what I do. That's pretty much all I've ever done. For 22 years, actually, I was in sales before marketing. I wanted to be a doctor, but I wasn't good enough at math. And it takes a lot of courage for an Indian to admit that. Okay? Just saying. So, Jell-O. It's actually invented by a husband and wife. I hope I get his name right. It escapes me right now, but it's Mr. and Mrs. Waite. The woman's name I remember, it's May Waite. And they tried to market the product. This is in the late 1800s. So we're talking over 100 years ago. They tried to market the product, get to sell, but they couldn't sell it. So back in the day, when you don't have the internet or telephones, or really any sort of mass communication except for print, what do you do? Right? When you need help, what do? You go to your neighbor. I know that's a very strange concept for people today, but that's what people have done for millennia. You go to the people close to you because you actually kind of like them. Right? Imagine that. It would be nice if we just brought that back. So they went to their neighbor. His name was Orator Francis Woodward. And he was running his own little sort of food company. He had a health drink called Graino. It was a alternative to coffee and tea. He was doing well. Graino was selling. And so they sold Jell-O to him. Not just the brand, the product, the whole business. Like, we can't figure this out. Orator, good luck, take it. Okay, thank you. He couldn't sell it. He couldn't sell it. He already had a food business, and he couldn't sell it. So what do you do? He took a huge risk. And in 1902, 1903, between 1902 and 1904, he took out a printed ad. They put an ad out for Jell-O. And all of a sudden, turns out that people actually wanted a gelatinous flavored dessert. So people started to buy. But Orator was an ambitious guy, and he said, you know what? I got a few fruit flavors that are selling. I can make more flavors. If I only knew what people would use this for. Wait, why don't I just tell them? So he printed Jell-O recipe books. You're looking at one. And he started to distribute these. His salespeople would go out with these fancy carts and just hand these cookbooks out. And everybody wanted one. Because you got to know how to use this stuff. You got to make these fancy desserts, right? This was the turn of the century. Things were about to get really bad for humanity, but nobody knew that, right, at the time. Everyone was doing pretty well in the early 1900s in developed cities. So his recipe books get out there, drives a lot of awareness, starts to drive a lot of sales, goes over 1 million. Remember, guys, I'm talking 110 years ago. drives over $1 million in sales, and his company starts to take off to the point where he actually changes the name of his entire company to Jell-O. He gets merged, becomes part of General Foods, Jell-O is now part of Kraft, so they bought General Foods. So that's the history of Jell-O. And one of the first instances of advertising backed by content